Thank you guys for joining us. This whole webinar is about, is AI going to kill the journalists, destroy their jobs, or kind of make them swim to the very, very top? And Rob, we've got you, Rob Waugh, who is a fabulously well-known tech journalist. He's been around probably as long as I have. So you've
About the
written
same.
You've written for like the Telegraph and the Metro and the science editor of the Daily Mail. So pretty impressive CV. And then we've also got pretty impressive man, Sam Sauls, who we work very closely with. I know that you are the Chief Revenue Officer at CultureAI, but I also know that you kind of do an awful lot of go-to market for lots and lots and lots of cybersecurity companies. So a guy that's really got his finger on the pulse, which is why we wanted to have you, Sam, here today.
Thank you. Thank
Um,
you for having me.
Pleasure, because I know that you're both going to give us all sorts of fantastic insights. And I'm Yvonne Eskenzi, I run Eskenzi PR. So can I literally dive straight in and ask you, Rob, the question? Do you think AI is destroying your job as a journalist?
I think that, obviously, as a journalist, you're no stranger to technology destroying your job because that's been happening for about 25 years, almost as long as I've been doing this. I remember a long, long time ago writing a report for the editor of a big newspaper, and I put the threat of online news. And somebody went, "Oh, don't put the word threat on there. They won't like that down the corridor." But there's been near constant danger in journalism from decades. Old business models are being upended. But that said, I think that there's never been a time of change more intense than now. I think that now you're seeing the amount of change that previously might have happened in a decade happening inside a year. And I think
Mm,
there's several sort of macro forces at work. I think the shift for Google towards integrating more and more AI into the way they work in the form of AI overviews and those kind of things that drive zero-click searches where people don't actually go through to publisher websites. I think that that is posing a very, very large threat to journalism, at least in the way that it has been done over the last, decade and a half, which, people have described as churnalism, where there's that focus on volume at all costs. And I think that certainly what is definitely the case is a lot of the old business models that people are extremely familiar with in journalism are, they're on a timer, they're on the way out.
yeah, I was just saying to Sam before you joined us actually, Rob, that I used to work with about 300 journalists, in tech. And now I'd
Yeah.
say we've probably got, what, 15 journalists, good journalists that we deal with. So I think that's what's happened in our world, as a PR person, that our world, our universe has become so much smaller.
Mm.
Um, I mean, I
But I,
don't,
I would say that there's a parallel move, which is the move towards kind of creator-led journalism, which is what you'll see in YouTube channels, in Substacks, et cetera, et cetera. And so, I know quite a few people who've, made that leap into becoming a YouTuber and sort of used their expertise they might have won as a journalist to drive kind of creator owned stuff. And I think that these two shifts in parallel are driving an enormous change in the information ecosystem. And AI is lighting a fire under both.
that's interesting you say that because, if you're a marketeer like Sam is, suddenly, once upon a time would have been easy, wouldn't it? You would have put your money into the computer weeklies or you would have had radio, TV, and the trades and the big nationals. That was it, I think, unless I've forgotten somebody. And now it's like this entire world of where the hell do you go? What is valuable? Where do you put your money? And like you just now said, and we talked about this the other day, didn't we, about Substack, Rob? And we had our prequel
Mm.
to this about and YouTube. Can you make money on those ones? I mean, Sam, that's a question I put to you really as a marketeer. Where, with all these loads of different places that you could actually advertise, it is this plethora of places, isn't it? It's like a mass. It's like what the hell do you do? Is there a kind of tried and tested place that you can go that has worked for you? Or is it just, oh, I don't know, I'm going to have a good go at wherever and see what happens? Is what do they call it? Spit at the wall and see what sticks. Is that right?
Yeah, there is that. There is that. I think so for marketers all over the world, they're all wondering what to invest in next. I think that with marketing, every 2 3 years, there's like something just like the hot thing. And if you look on LinkedIn, everything's always dead. SEO's dead. Everything's dead. But actually, there's still some really good channels that you can go and invest. And I think for me, those channels are where your audience is. You have to understand your audience. You have to know where the audience is, and you need to understand how they consume the media because the publications, the channels, the these people are consuming, they are still there. Um, I think the one thing that is kind of like disappearing more and more is the trust in those channels.
Yeah.
So if I put my marketing hat on, uh, I look at it in 2 different ways. You're either paying to reach an audience and just you're willing to just go and put some money into something and just well hoping for the best, or if you know exactly where you want to go, you know the publishers that you can trust. So you know exactly who to go after. You know exactly the journalists that you can build relationships with. You know how to make your way up that chain to really make sure that you get in front of the right audience. So the audiences are still there. They're still trying to consume media. The marketers are still trying to try a lot of different things. I think the main problem that they have right now is trust on in who to trust, and also how to cut through the noise. Because I mean, if marketers their jobs have changed a lot, the volume of their work is probably gone by half, uh, and content is easier to produce. It's harder to be heard, and a lot of businesses aren't actually not investing in those entry roles anymore. So what is happening here is you're bringing AI tools, you're removing a lot of that kind of capabilities that a marketer would have to do before. And instead of replacing that with actually spending more time and investing in the right channels, etc., companies are taking that as a saving. So yeah, so there's lots of gaps that are starting to appear, both around the trust on both sides, but also on how actually marketers do their day-to-day jobs. So I think we're in for a reckoning in 2 or 3 years' time, to be honest.
That's a question to you as well, Rob, because we always talk about trust, don't we? And I think the reason why very often people came to PR people or come to PR people is that, this is earned, isn't it? You earn the
Mm.
trust. And then someone like you believes in us because we're hopefully legitimate and we're not selling a weird story and it's kind of going through filters. And how do you go about if everyone's now we got fired? One of our really amazing client fired us yesterday, which was the saddest thing in the world because the team had done an amazing job in the US actually, and it was like what the hell are you going to do? Because we've been getting like 30 or 40 pieces of coverage from, you know, every month. I mean, it's just blown them out the water. And they turn around and say, well, we think AI can do a better job. I thought, God, you've got to be joking. That is so
Yeah,
stupid. So suddenly that client now is going to send you a load of shit, basically.
yeah.
How are you going to be able to know? Maybe that shit's better than what we do these days. I don't know. And I can go back to Spain and put my feet up and enjoy myself. But how do you define how do you as a journalist work out what's real and what's not real? Can you? I don't know.
Well, I think that it's AI has just added another layer of crap deep in the murk to the toolbox because I think that as a journalist, you can always sense when a release has just been sent to a random list of 200 people without a huge amount of thought. And AI just means that not only has it been sent to a random list of 200 people without anybody thinking about it, they've not even thought about writing the release. And they might not even have thought about what the release is about.
Yeah.
And so that kind of, I mean, I am always on the lookout for that kind of formatting that looks like stuff was created in AI software because I just think if you can't be bothered to write it, I can't be bothered to read it.
No.
And I think that also as journalists, I mean, in my reporting for Press Gazette, you are increasingly surrounded by, fake experts, fake people. And the job of the journalist in 2026 is, at least in part, to ground your reporting in reality, sort of move it into the kind of flesh and blood world, make sure it's real sources, real facts, and not just some sort of statistic that's just been stirred up by AI to sound interesting.
Yeah, it's funny. I read an article yesterday, which was really, really good. I'm going to do a blog about it, and it was all about press. How to write a good press release in today's AI world, right? And it was exactly like just follow the same old traditional rules we've always done.
Yeah.
Good headline, put a date on it, make sure you've got some thought leadership, make sure it's telling a good, there's a hook, you're telling a good story. And it's got to be authentic. This whole thing is about being as authentic and honest as you possibly can. And nothing has changed in all the years I've worked. It's I think what you've said as well, Rob, is it's the same old thing, isn't it? Authenticity and being not just nothing's changed. It's just the layer. Maybe the platforms have changed or something like that.
Authenticity and quality. I mean, I always say the gold standard for press releases is NASA press releases, because they are written so that you can just use them as a news article. And they're written sufficiently well that I used to always say that I could tell when journalists were working for me had stopped rewriting the press release and just pasted the rest of it, because at that point the writing would get better. They just aspire for press releases to be just totally page ready. And that means, whenever there's a NASA announcement, there's lower friction, it's going to get covered everywhere.
When you say NASA, what do you mean by that?
NASA.
Oh, NASA, actually, the space people.
Space agent. Yeah.
Oh.
Their press releases are fantastic. They're a study in the art of writing press releases. Honestly, have a look at them. They're brilliant.
Oh my gosh, I'll go and take a look. That's really, or send me one if you've got any recent ones or any. I'd love to have a look at one of those. May learn something.
I have a thought on that noise piece, and I think this is one for Rob. It's my thought, but I want to kind of see if you validate it. As like someone, as a vendor, as a marketer, as someone that's doing comms, I feel like the best way to build a trust with a journalist like yourself these days is by being the person that doesn't waste your time.
Yeah.
And just gives you what you need. Because I mean, yeah, does that sound about right?
It sounds about right. I think that, I mean, the part that I think journalists are sometimes don't have enough understanding about is that clients can be difficult, and that I think things that really get up journalists' noses is when people go, "Oh, we can get you this spokesperson," and then 2 hours later it's, "Oh, we can't get you this spokesperson." And you're like, "Oh, right, okay," because by that point you've had the conversation with your editor, and then you have to think very, very quickly about how you can get somebody who's going to do the same thing as the first person you said you could get.
So Rob, it would be good for you to tell us, novices, how we go about building trust with journalists. I don't know, what are the 3 things that we need to do to win you guys over?
Well, I mean, I think it's pretty simple stuff. It's understand what the journalist actually does. So, I mean, I used to, for years, get press releases about nuclear reactor containment vessels. And I used to just sit there trying to work out what I had ever written to mean that I got sent press releases about nuclear reactor containment vessels, which are just the most expensive things in the world. I mean, they're so expensive, but I mean, it's just so completely irrelevant to what I write about. And there was no way, if somebody had even thought for a second, that they would have thought, "Oh, this guy's really in the market for press releases about that." So first of all, be relevant, understand what the journalist writes about. Secondly, understand what kind of journalist they are. So as it happens, I don't tend to, I mean, certainly with my current clients, I really like to be in a situation to take kind of survey press releases, because that's the easiest rewrite in the world. So as a freelancer, I can probably knock out the copy for that very, very quickly. But as it stands, I don't tend to do that kind of story. I'm usually looking for interviews, more in-depth, reactive pieces, but every journalist will be looking for different things, understand what that is. And once you've got that sort of relevant, targeted pitch for that journalist, deliver on what you've promised. If there's a thing on the press release that says spokespeople available on request, they need to be available because, for instance, in my case, like I can't go to an editor and go, I've got a quote that someone else has already written. You know, on a lot of publications, they will not take that. It has to be fresh quotes. It has to be your interview. It has to be, you know, take it on a little bit just from the press release. And so it's, yeah, I mean, I'd say be relevant, understand what sort of journalism that your target does, and then deliver on what you promise.
Yeah.
Would be my 3 rules.
And I think that the amount of times we've spoken to journalists and they've said to us that they cannot believe the amount of PR people that just flake on them. They, as you said, you know, they say they're going to do something, they don't do it. And I like they say, but that's our job, isn't it, as a PR person, to try and get our clients in front of you and to try and win you guys over. And then they say so often these PRs just don't deliver, which is great for us actually, because
I mean, I think that you perhaps have the luxury of being in a position where you've got clients that are a bit bigger. I think when you're PRing like a one-man band or a two-man band, it's maybe difficult to get spokespeople to be available on time. I mean, I'm making excuses for people, but that's the thing. You need to be able to deliver the stuff that journalists want, which is, you know, access to expertise, access to product wherever it's relevant, or, you know, being talked through a particularly complex product where it's needed. Because, you know, I mean, as a freelancer, I'm often hopping from subject to subject, and suddenly I'll be, you know, as I always say, journalists know everything, but they know everything to 1 inch deep. And so, you know, sometimes, you know, if I'm suddenly writing a piece about, let's say, data center cooling systems, I'm probably going to need somebody to actually explain the subject to me, because it's not, you know, it's not something I'd go on mastermind about.
But Sam, the question to you is, with so many publishing companies have diminished, how do you go about choosing? Because the other way, we talk about trust, and they will all tell you they can get leads, which is mostly why you want to get this is what everybody's obsessed with, leads, aren't they? That's what it's all about. So has it with AI? Has anything changed there with with all the different publishing houses?
2 things that I've noticed. I mean, the first one is I like to ask how they use AI themselves, and if I get a half-assed answer, then I always wonder, do they actually have editorial control of what they're doing? Are they just going to pick some content up and just like rehash it and just tell ChatGPT to remove M dashes and write in British English and publish it? That's kind of like the one of the things that I like to try and understand. I think the other one is, what are they willing to say or not say about someone that's trying to use them as a publisher? And for me, it's more that the difference there is, are they an outlet that is going to publish a news story, or are they an outlet that's going to publish a piece of advertising? And there's nothing wrong with either. It's just I just want to know where the money is going as a marketer, as a CRO. So for me, it's like understanding if they can be clear to me around, are they an advertisement platform or are they an actual publisher, and whether they leverage AI, then I can start making my mind up about whether I should invest in that relationship and whether I should trust them, and whether I should actually put my resource and money into working with them.
Do you think that's made your job harder?
A little bit, yeah. You
What?
kind of have to read in between the lines when you're
Because
having certain conversations.
so actually, trust is playing a really big part in all of this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, the word trust is actually underlying all of this, isn't it? Because we just don't know. It's a bit like skating on ice at the moment, isn't it? From both our points of view, PR, marketing, and yours, Rob. We're just skating on up. It's almost like, oh, we've no idea where we're going, not do we?
Yeah, I mean,
no,
I think that's overlap. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, it's like it's the cyber typical thing, zero trust, zero trust, zero trust. Now it's coming into everyone's jobs more and more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that disjunction between advertising and editorial has always kind of been there. It's sort of there's that, but these days a lot of publishers are, you know, seeking new revenue streams quite aggressively, and it means that there's a sort of ugly side to it where there's a lot of stuff that's slightly disguised pay-to-play publishing, and it's, I mean, yeah, I think that, and that stuff is only going to grow. There's sort of, obviously there's also kind of quite unscrupulous operators out there where they're creating fake publications with a view simply to landing as much money as possible.
So can AI help publishers survive, do you think, in this kind of more increasingly difficult commercial environment?
I think that publishers, I think that the wrong thing to do is to imagine that AI can create a huge amount of content for you and it's going to ease your staffing needs and you don't need to think. Because I think the innate nature of AI is that when people like your former client think, oh, we can do this with AI, what that means is they won't devote any manpower to it and it'll just wither on the vine and nothing will in fact happen. In the same way that companies who have like an email response form on their website, they go, oh yeah, just fill in this form and we'll answer it. And inevitably, within 6 months, no one is looking at that inbox. And my record for filling in one of those forms asking for urgent copy was I got a reply 9 months after I filed my piece. And likewise with AI, once you start leaning on it, you just lean on it all the way. And then that's the problem. I think that there are lots of good things that publishers are doing with AI. I personally hold out a lot of hope for AI handling a lot of stuff that is extremely tedious in online journalism, like sort of tagging, like hyperlinking and things like that have been passed on to journalists. Because I mean, I used to always say when I started working at a place, if somebody in the tech side says to you, okay, yeah, well, you have to put in all the hyperlinks into your piece at the moment, but we're going to automate this soon. The translation of that is always, we're never going to automate it. And in fact, one of my employers, they said, oh, yeah, we'll have automated the hyperlinks. Don't worry about that. And I left that publisher 13 years later, and all the hyperlinks were still done manually. And I think that AI holds enormous potential in helping to do quite a lot of the stuff that's repetitive, manual, and extremely boring. I also think that it enables much deeper analysis of what is succeeding for publishers, what audiences it's succeeding with. And I mean, as I said in response to one of your earlier questions, I think that the era of just sort of thinking we can spam out, 1,500 stories a day, enough of it will stick, enough of it will go viral, that it'll be enough. I think that approach is kind of nearing its end. And what people need to do is that more considered approach. Who is our audience? How do we reach them? How do we retain them? I mean, I think, for instance, particularly in quite technical journalism, it's actually quite easy to understand who your audience is and how to reach them, etc. And I think that AI gives publishers tools to sort of understand what's resonating and build new strategies for how to reach those people in future.
Fair enough. So what happens, do you think, when we live in a world where everything is the journalist is an AI bot, and then they're stuff from AI bots, and so we're just reading everything and consuming everything that's just generated from AI?
I think that there's going to be, and in fact, we're seeing the start of an enormous backlash against that. And I think that that's one of the things that's adding fuel to the fire for this drive for creator-driven journalism. People want there to be a human being on the end of it. And so from the point of view of companies, that means that your spokespeople are extremely valuable because they humanize your brand. And that, for instance, like founder driven kind of PR strategies are actually much more important because that gives your brand a personality and a human face that can actually stand out in this. And I think that, in a world where, people, I mean, what I never understand with AI is, like, to me, it's just a tool, but people seem to consult it like it's the sort of Delphic oracle or something. Like, I hear otherwise intelligent people going, "Oh, AI told me this." And it's like, you do understand this is just a software tool that goes out and reads the internet and then comes back with an average of it. I mean, it's not like you've climbed to the mountaintop and there's a sort of 100-year-old sage who knows everything. And I think that in that world of people asking AI and an enormous amount of AI generated content being around, I think that the value of the human voice, of in-depth reporting, of having a spokesperson who's interesting and who everyone likes, I mean, for instance, in a lot of brands in AI and tech, I mean, it's very notable that the thing they sell isn't the product. It's very sort of human stories, and it's the human face of that brand. They report it in a way that is very accessible to people, and it's always humanized in that way. And I think that that sort of human touch is going to go on getting more and more valuable as we go forward.
Yes.
I would even add to that I think there was a period where the trust was based on the content, and I think now the trust is based on the source. So having that kind of spokesperson, that having really understanding who is behind something is actually that authenticity is what people are going to want to consume, because they're just going to assume that the rest is just mass produced. I mean, AI can write sincerity and can write beautiful things and all that kind of stuff, but people are going to start seeing through that. They want to know who is behind it. I think that's going to be like a critical thing for businesses to understand.
That was one of the questions I had written down. It was has authentic storytelling become even more valuable in an era of AI generated content? And I think we've just said absolutely. It's this authenticity, which is what you said, and credibility. It's and Rob, all my life I've tried to stop my clients talking about products. We've got a brand new product. Can you go out there and tell everybody about it? No one is interested about your products, but they're interested about the topic. The topics are going to be interesting around
Oh,
it.
100%. And what I find frustrating when I've sort of advised or worked with companies is that companies don't often realize the value of what they have. So, for instance, in, like, let's say, cybersecurity or AI, you have an absolute global expert in the field, and really, I think, going forward in an AI-driven world, having that expertise, and particularly when they're willing to be outspoken. I think that that's the thing about AI is it can write pretty coherent sentences and stuff like that, but it's inherently conservative. It doesn't say outrageous things. It doesn't say, this market will be dead in 6 months or something like that. And that is the kind of stuff that is meat and drink to journalists. And also, it's the kind of stuff that just makes people remember what your brand's about. If you've got that sort of outspoken, sparky, fiery spokesperson who's willing to sort of put themselves on the line and make radical predictions or whatever, that is going to make people remember who you are. And I mean, people shouldn't be afraid of it because, look at Elon Musk. He predicts about 1 million things a year, 99% wrong. And everybody thinks, oh, brilliant, look at Elon, what a brain. So just, getting yourself out there, saying stuff is the valuable part.
And I think you can see that on LinkedIn as well, actually. Actually, LinkedIn, there's an awful lot of drivel on there, but the people that are actually kind of saying something that's a bit controversial, but they're actually fun, or they're saying something different, they're a bit of a personality.
Yeah.
Rather not that, do you know what? I've got so many people on my LinkedIn, but I can't think off the top of my head the ones that I really there aren't that many people that kind of come on and say something quite witty, clever, interesting, a bit of a personality. It's just there's a lot of we'll just launch this product today, or well, there's actually an awful lot of stuff actually on LinkedIn at the moment that's really not it's not LinkedIn-y. But you do know what I'm saying? What you've just now said is so right. It's not just LinkedIn, it's all the people in cybersecurity that have ever done well as spokespeople, not just my clients, but competitors, have been the people that stood out, said really good things, and again, they've got either really funny or humorous or a little bit irreverent, and they take the mickey out themselves. That's what we want, isn't it? So again, it's kind of, nothing's really changing here, is it? What we're kind of saying is that AI is brilliant. It's brilliant as a tool, but actually we're still looking for the personality, the originality. Originality is really, really important, isn't it? Because as you said, Rob, things like surveys are really, really key, and coming up with original research and thought really, really key to all of this, which is what the AI engine's like. And that's from the generative kind of engine optimization is what is really, really important when you're actually you're being quoted somewhere legitimate and credible with something original. That takes you straight up to the top of those search engines.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think that this is an evolving science, but I think that it's abundantly clear that one of the things that the AI search engines have got much better at is grounding their searches in, real publications. And like, 2 years ago, I used to, if I was writing a business piece, I would go, give me links and foreground reputable analysts. And, the engines would struggle with that. They're getting better. It's sort of, they're understanding this is a significant publisher, this is a significant analyst, et cetera, et cetera. And I think that, as the various AI search engines sort of compete with one another to deliver better results, they will prioritize kind of earned media, quality research, quality analytical stuff. They will prioritize that more and more because they have to deliver better results than each other.
Yeah. And I actually think that as CMOs, CROs, any business leaders out there are starting to think about this, they need to start realizing that the coverage is no longer a traffic channel. It's actually a citation channel. Everything that you're putting out there, you're educating models. More than you're probably educating people. Buyers are asking models for quotes. They're asking models about products. They're asking models about all sorts of things. So everything that you're putting out is not going to get picked up. And when it does get picked up, you're basically you kind of lost control of your own artifacts as brands, etc. Because you're giving all this data to a model, the model is training on it, and your brand is represented through that model. So I think this coverage, the need for coverage is critical in my view, but also the need for great coverage is critical, because if you just put loads and loads of noise out there, I don't think it's going to work out well for you as a brand in the long term.
No, I think that it's AI chatbots are, perhaps even better than people at distinguishing between actual coverage and the kind of crap that you can buy for like $25 or $50 off, really weird websites that no one actually reads. So that kind of thing where people sort of thought, oh, we can just pay to throw up a lot of chaff and that'll sort of make it seem like we've got coverage. It's not going to work. And in the AI world, it's looking for reputable publications and reputable sources and reputable spokespeople for the brand and reputable research.
Yeah.
So, Rob, how do you, if you're getting, I don't know, 300 bits of information sent to you, because people are sending it to you, how can you genuinely work out who is real and who's not real, though? Because I know what journalists always say, they get about 300 pieces, sent into their inbox every day. Can you tell? I mean, I know we just did talk about this, but can you genuinely tell? Because so much stuff is so good. if there was a press release that comes from somewhere, how do you know it's actually just not a load of rubbish? You know,
It's mostly instinct. You just can smell rubbish after a while. You're like, okay, because people, I mean, you get stuff that's just, I mean, an absolute plague at the moment is research based on like Google Trends and stuff, which is, so instead of doing a survey, which is expensive, people go, oh yeah, there's been a sort of 27% surge in searches for dog collars in your area, which is sort of showing off, or like Nottingham is Britain's best town for car repairs or something like that. And this is, the absolute bottom of the barrel of, and all those things, they just smell bad from the outset because they arrive and it's just like, okay, it's not real research. There's no spokesperson. There's no attempt to understand what it is that I do or, how I sell it on to people. And I mean, there's a huge amount of that. There's a huge amount of extremely low quality outreach. And, I mean, I won't even tell you how many things I get where people are going, would you like a contributed piece by this person? And it's like, no, I wouldn't. I'm a freelancer. What the hell am I going to do with that? I mean, if I pitch that somewhere, they're going to get paid, not me. So it's about that understanding. And I think that if you're covering an area where, there's a lot of companies competing for attention, you just tune in on, brands that you trust or people that and not to blow smoke up your ass, but I've in the world of cybersecurity, if I need a quick comment on an issue, I will usually talk to one of your little elves, Yvonne, and because I know you've got a lot of good clients, and I will get a decent quote back in my usually extremely unreasonable deadline. Where it's just a reflex when people go, "What's your deadline?" And I always just go, "Basically now," and it's a question of filtering through the stuff where, like, you look at a lot of those things where it's an AI written press release, it's crappy Google research, and I look at that and I think if I reply to that, I will get a reply to my email in half a day, if ever. It is quite possible I will never hear from that person again because they've just spammed it out to 1,000 different email addresses and haven't thought about it.
I think that goes back to the trust once again. Like even you as a journalist, you need to have trust in the people that are bringing you the content. So yeah, I mean, obviously we work with Eskenzi, and I've worked with Eskenzi for many years. And for me, it's like I know that if I put something out, it's already got that trust layer, and when something comes my way, already has that trust layer. And I think that's a key difference, and that's what cuts through the noise of AI written stuff.
Yeah, but it's just building that reputation as somebody who delivers. Like, I don't know if you're familiar with that travel journalist Simon Calder, who is just continually on television. He's like, I think he's moved to Telegraph recently, but he's on the Independent. If there's any TV spot about travel, like something happens at Heathrow, the camera will spin round, and Jesus Christ, it's Simon Calder again. And it's just be that guy who's interesting, who's available, who's there. Any journalist will have people who are just can give a quote at any time. Press a button and you've got a quote which can fill out your piece, and that is the essence of it. Is just be available, be trustworthy, always deliver, and be interesting.
I actually think this has been so interesting talking to you both because we've just given everybody so many good lessons. I hope that some people listen to this because they're going to walk away with some really good pearls of wisdom, to be honest. So I don't know if there's anything else that Sam you want to add or Rob you want to add, but I just think what we've said is in truth all the things that are good old fashioned. You know what it is? People buy from people. I don't think thing. And I still think it's the same old thing. Whenever I talk to the CISOs, which I do quite often, they always say that a bit like you, Rob. Why don't people just research who they are, what they like, what they're after, that sort of thing? Sam, you've been to some of those meetings before when they turned around and said that to us.
Yeah.
So just, work out who you're talking to, because people want to talk to people, and that's what's going to cut through. And I think in the long term, to be honest, both of you so rightly have said, if you're this personality and you are a good thought leader and you're coming up with good original stuff, and it's credible, it's straightforward, it's got bloody personality, for crying out loud, then you'll do well and you'll succeed. Still don't think it's more difficult than that, unless. So in answer to that, is AI destroying journalism? I think it's making it a lot harder, but I actually think with all the things we've just now said, I think it's all great stuff. Cut through the noise, trust everything. Sam, you were about to open your mouth and
Yeah.
say something.
No, I was just going to say, I think the only thing that's really changed is that a lot of the activities that you do with journalists, with PR, etc., no longer are about buying readers. They're about buying your way into how a machine reads you, our model understands your business. So I think that is the only kind of like new layer. But it goes back to build great stuff, build original stuff, have creativity, build trustworthy stuff, and I think those are the people that will win.
Yeah.
Love that.
My last piece of advice would be that often I think that again it comes down to this sort of weird thing of consulting AI like it's some kind of oracle. I think that when people look at, like, you've got Gemini and Google Docs or something like that, and it goes, do you want me to make this better for you? I always just think it's not going to make it better. It's going to make it more average. It's going to sort of iron some of the personality out of it. And so if you are in a lucky situation where you're able to talk to the public or whatever, just be yourself. Don't be the AI self. I mean, I'll trust on it to correct my grammar, tell me that I've gone over 25 words in a sentence or something like that. But when it comes to actually saying what I want to say, don't let it do it for you. Because going forward, being you is going to be more valuable than it's ever been.
I love that. Makes me feel. No, I do. I love it. And it makes me feel so much better as well. I just need to go away. I've made some notes. I just need to go away and kind of like just absorb everything we said, because I think I'm being serious. I think it's really, really good stuff. And you're right, because sometimes I write something and I think, oh, just make it sound really good for me, better than me. And then I kind of look at it, I think, God, that sounds a bit bland, because I don't write like that. I kind of write, I'm a kind of like, I'm writing kind of quite a flowery kind of like conversational way, and it sounds like me. And then and it looks, so you're absolutely right, Rob. I'm just definitely, so I don't know I have no idea if anyone's listening to this. I hope they are, but if they are, then we will take questions. We've got a few minutes to take questions. And if not, then don't know. Have you both got anything out of this?
Be great. Yeah, really enjoyed it.
And I'm building trust with the journalists, so
Thank you, guys. Honestly, thank you both so much. I really enjoyed it too. And thank you, Sam. Thank you, Rob. Hey, maybe we'll do this again sometime.
Excellent. Cheers, everyone.
Right. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for having me.